Hey guys, welcome back. So in my last video where I was addressing my 2-year post-explant update, I mentioned I was having additional testing and I would be back with some more answers. So in that video, I do mention that I'm feeling better. You know, my basic blood panel is improving from when I had the implants. I have a little more energy. All of those things are true. However, there is a neurological component to my illness that has never been figured out. That component did continue getting worse, essentially. Just trickling in. It wasn't like an overnight thing. And that's what I want to address. So as we all know, testing takes time, months, and waiting, it's a waiting game. I did not want to guess and say I think I have this or I think I have that, even though I was pretty sure about some of what I want to talk about today. Along with my new doctor, was pretty sure about a few things, but of course we need those definitive tests. So I'm going to explain the current diagnosis. I shouldn't even say current, the diagnosis that I have waited really 7 years ago. In 2013, I knew something is wrong, really wrong, neurologically. I was symptomatic all the way back in 2011 as far as digestively symptomatic. In 2012, I had body rashes. So when I say 2013 is where it all began, I mean from a neurological standpoint where it scared me, where I knew this is not right, something is very wrong. So aside from bloating and rashes, this now was a neurological issue. So 7 years, I've shared my journey, specialists and doctors and MRIs and nerve conduction and blood tests, kinesiology, everything that I could afford and that I could get my hands on, I tried, and changed my lifestyle, changed my diet, played around with supplements to try to find some relief. And the best way I can describe my symptoms is that trickle effect. They, over the 7 years, from the first day in 2013, it was in the summer where I started going downstairs and my brain just couldn't do it. It was like misfiring. And from then to now, I have lived without a firm diagnosis. I've had doctors say everything from lupus to polymyalgia to MS with no definitive proof. I've been given layman's terms for things like disequilibrium and polymyalgia, which really cover a broad spectrum of illness but is not diagnosing an illness. And all the meanwhile, I've lost function. So the last year that I could physically go out into the world without help was 2017. And I've hid that. I've hid that to save my job and my livelihood and my mental state. Not that I would, lose my job over, an illness, but, you don't want to appear weak. You don't want to let people know. At least that was my standpoint. So I just started telling people outside of my family and my circle that I am unable to run an errand or walk into somewhere on my own, or walk my dogs without their dog stroller, which it's a whole different thing. But I have not gotten a cane or anything like that for the mental aspect for me, because I have controlled this without depression taking over. I do have anxiety from the way I'm feeling, because I feel like a prisoner in my own body, but I'm not medicated for it. It's, you know, I just keep to myself and I stay inside, and I have a small circle of friends, and that's been my life. So I am at a point now where I can walk, but not without aid, or without, you know, help. I can get around my apartment, but it does come down to holding on to surfaces or walls or, you know, whatever. I do fall, you know, here and there. So that's kind of what's happened. So when my breast implants came out, I could breathe easier. I had a little more clarity, a little more energy. It was like a push in the right direction, but it wasn't enough. And, you know, I know a lot of people who got them out, quick recovery. So what I'm here to talk about today is, for those of us that are not in a quick recovery, there may be other factors where you were not wrong to remove your breast implants, but there's other factors that can play more of a role than I realized, down to a biological level. So in the last few months, I started with a rheumatologist because I was having migrating joint pain, where, you know, it'd be, oh my God, my knee hurts, my leg hurts, my ankle hurts, my wrist hurts. Random, shocking pain, sharp pain, electric feeling shocks, radiating body pain, where, you know, if someone was to go to the gym and work out really hard, that type of soreness all the time. I started having a hard time getting into my bed, you know, without just like a pain. Things like that. So I looked at rheumatology and I said, you know, let's just look at everything I've not looked at and let's get some answers. So I went there. They were looking at, you know, lupus, fibromyalgia. I did the AVISE testing. I'll link everything for that below, where they look down to like double-stranded DNA, C proteins, inflammation levels. They look very deeply, because for things like lupus and the rheumatology umbrella, it's not as definitive as like cardiology. It's a bit different, where there has to be a few markers and multiple doctors to agree on a diagnosis. There is no firm diagnosis through a blood test, if that makes sense. So all of that was negative. There was nothing showing inflammation or an autoimmune presence, or there was nothing showing anything. So, you know, they let me know with rheumatology, come back every year, repeat the testing, you know, sorry. So I'm used to it, being told no. So moved on from that. I started seeing a doctor here who I am just so impressed by, and so thankful for, who just he really just embraced me and my story, and just was kind, and you know, just really wanted to help. And even when I met him, and it was an hour of me talking with him in an office and then a physical exam, he was able to not say you have this, you have this, you have this, but start explaining what things could be, what this could mean and that could mean, and what triggers what. So in that conversation, he looked at, you know, the work I had done out in Tampa, and said, you know, this was a decent approach, but there's no detox. I have to detox you, and, you know, we're gonna look at things like mold and like Lyme and bacteria and Sibo and Candida and all of these, you know, microbes and fungus and bacteria and mycotoxins, biotoxins, and we're going to look at this from a toxic standpoint, which again brings me back to breast implants. They are toxic. It is 1,000% the right thing that they were taken out of my body. So I'm going to bring all this back together, but basically what we did was food allergy testing, because I do have bloating and my body doesn't like majority of food. And when I have something like wine or like coffee or a processed food or anything with a barcode on it, I instantly, it's almost within minutes, I react. And the reaction could be heavy legs, muscle pain, achiness, dizziness, bloating. It's just immediately my body is screaming at me. So we tested that. We did the Great Plains mold test, which is a urine sample, sent that out. Like the things they test for are things that I didn't even know you could test for or how to go about it, but the MTHFR gene, I'm pretty sure I got that in the right order. I'll put it on the screen here, but that gene, and again, I'm going to get deeper into this in other videos. That gene is basically saying your body has a hard time detoxing naturally or on its own without help, without aid, without supplements. It's a biological, it's my genetic makeup that I have that gene. And when I look back on being a kid, I was always sick, sinus infections, rashes, scalp issues. I just seemed very sensitive compared to my sister and my family. So it makes sense. I'll link that below, some indicators that you may have it. I believe there are 3 bars or panels to test for it. I am positive on all 3. The other thing with this gene, it is linked to breast implant illness. I will put some articles below. I don't want to get too deep into that until I know more about it, which is why I only share when I'm confident sharing. Things that kind of circle this gene and having this mutation are things like B12, folate, and glutathione. So B12 for me has been down severely since about 2015 was the first time we looked at it. I was on injections. It's always been a struggle. I've always been in that neurological crisis area. I've seen it go up, but never past the 300s, which 10% of the population will have a neurological response to that. My folate is also always down, always an issue. And then glutathione is actually something my new doctor put me on about 6 weeks ago. I had headaches the first few weeks, but I have, from when I started taking it, I've been telling my mom, I swear it's doing something, because every day is not perfect, it's not a miracle, but something. I can just feel it in clarity and energy. So it's interesting when you're looking down at a cellular level about my genetic makeup and why all of this happened and the collapse that came from it. It all basically is making sense to me now. So that gene positive, all 3 panels. And knowing I have that, again, explains a lot of my reaction to the breast implants, which definitely made my immune system tank. I got those when I was 19. My next diagnosis is Lyme disease, which I think I knew, I think I've known. It's a very hard one to prove, very hard. And I would tell anyone that thinks they could have it or has had it for a while and missed it, chronic Lyme, neurological Lyme, it does hide in your cells and it's very hard to bring out. That's why there's so many tests, different countries, different thoughts. Lyme is still a bit of a black hole as far as knowledge. Something you can live with and manage, but when it's chronic and when it's neurological and when it's undiagnosed, it's in a whole different category. So, I'm eager to see what the next step is, because I am showing positives on the Western blot, but not all 5 bands. So I believe he's going to want to move forward with more invasive testing on that. But it's something I knew was there. With my level of fatigue is not, I've had a long day, let me put my feet up. My level of fatigue is I'm going to face plant into the floor. I have to stop right where I am and go to sleep. I can't put one foot in front of the other. Like, I take a shower and I have to rest. It's that exhausting. And I can't stand it in the shower, so it's like a bath, shower, whatever. But the fatigue has been insane. The migraine joint pain, and then my eyes. This has been so new and so scary for me. Maybe a year and a half ago, I started getting these shooting eye pains that feel like I'm being stabbed in the eye, like literally knife through my eyeball. It's random. I can't predict it. It's just so, my eyes will water. It's one of the most painful things, along with floaters in my vision every day, constantly, along with blurred vision, along with my peripheral vision is like not here. I have a hard time driving, which is why I work in the area I live. I don't go on highways. So with those 3 things, I started realizing that Lyme, I feel it's there, and now we see it is. So, we'll continue down the Lyme path, which, is a very long and weird road to a diagnosis. So, that's where I'm at with that. On top of Lyme, we found mold toxicity, which I believe in my case, because of the neurological component, that it's a neurotoxicity. When I believe I could have had a tick bite or tick exposure, I mean, I grew up in Michigan, it could have been any time, but I do remember when I was 21, I had the bullseye rash on my back. I didn't really think much of it. It went away, nothing happened. Lyme can remain dormant for a long time. And the reason it's said that mold toxicity and Lyme go hand in hand is because they kind of ignite the other one, if that makes sense. So once I came into contact with mold, this could have ignited that Lyme situation that maybe was an underlying issue or toxin in my body. I'm not sure. That's kind of, I'm trying to piece it together, come up with some conclusions based on my past and my experiences, but I don't know. I didn't know much about any of this when I was younger, and obviously now being this scared and this sick, all I do is work and I research. That's my life. So I didn't know these things back then, but the mold exposure, it's not a shock to me. It's upsetting to me, not a shock. There are so many points of exposure. I never saw my saline implants because they were removed before I knew about BII, and they were replaced with silicone. They could have had mold. I don't know. I'll never know because I never saw them, and I do not trust the man that removed them, to be transparent about that. So they could have. There's a whole thing about breast implants and living in Florida. There's a lot of research surrounding that, and what that can mean, and, having a higher probability of mold exposure. So there is that. I don't know. I also lived in a building that was a hotel in the 1940s, shared ventilation, shared laundry, definitely smelled in there. So that was back 2012 to 2014, 14. Yes. And then I was dating someone at the time who lived in a condo with avid flooding and water leaks. It was constant. Water stains all over the place. The whole place reeked of mildew. Again, I was young. I didn't know. I didn't know, as dumb as that is. So there was that point of possible exposure where I went on to date that person and live with that person. So all of our things would have been contaminated. And then I had a Miata convertible, which had a leak in the roof. And for years I was aware of it. And I live in Florida. It would rain, get some water inside, and then I would walk out of one of my jobs and the windows would be fogged up. Mold is so prevalent in cars, in AC units, and again, I didn't know. So, there's lots of points of exposure, and it's a big thing. Look at, foods and housing, and especially Florida, again. I even see it in my job. I work in insurance, and this is something we see, and there's remediation, but that doesn't take care of the problem. It brings the levels down. So, and the reason that, someone could come into contact with mold and be fine and not be like me, I have that gene. So kind of to circle back, without that gene, my body cannot detox itself properly. So every piece of this has now made sense after being like this, for 7 years and getting this far. So along with those are the main, issues. But along with that, I am positive for a reactive Epstein-Barr virus that I had in high school. If you've had mono, the virus lives within you. It's an opportunistic virus where if your immune system is suppressed, it's gonna take its shot and it's gonna reactivate. So I have that with Epstein-Barr. There's a lot of, it's very brain heavy, like the brain fog and the fatigue, and my spleen is enlarged, my lymph nodes and my groin and my neck are all swollen, enlarged, big signs of Epstein-Barr. So he kind of knew when I was in there and he did my physical exam, we got some Epstein-Barr going on. So there was that. I am positive for 2 types of Candida, which I knew. I know this from seeing it on my tongue, scalp, from my reactions to foods. So I knew about that. I am on grapefruit seed extract for that. So we have Lyme, mold, the MTHFR gene mutation, Candida, and EBV virus reactive, is pretty much what's going on. So he also believes that I have Sibo. A lot of Lyme and mold patients do have it. It's how the toxins, keep escaping, and instead of digesting as waste, they re-enter the body and they circulate. So I am on a Fodmap low mold diet, but then I got my food panel back, which prompts me to wonder if I'm allergic to histamines, because everything I tested allergic or, having a sensitivity to is a high histamine food. Avocado, garlic, onion, celery. So I'm going to share that below and not just list off foods right now. So I wanted to initially share this. I have a follow-up with him on January 7th, which it is New Year's Eve today. So another week. I plan to come back and share his response and the protocol and the treatment plan, which he already told me when I was there with him, that he will detox the mold first and then treat everything else. He did warn me that the mold detox is invasive, it's no fun. Plan to be in your home for 2 to 4 months. which is already what I do, so it won't be that different. But you know, when I found out all of this together, it was well, I found out about the mold Christmas morning, ironically enough, and Christmas Eve was really hard for me. I was alone. I was not with my family this year. It's my first year, you know, being by myself, and I was sitting there on Christmas Eve thinking, by next Christmas I'll be in a wheelchair. You know, just trying to accept. And you know, Christmas morning I can't sleep. I don't sleep well. So at 3 a.m. I log into my patient portal, and there are the mold results. So, and with mold, Lyme is very common to go hand in hand. So I kind of knew, I had a feeling, and then I looked yesterday and got the rest of the results and put it all together. And this week, for a couple days, I felt very up and down, crying, emotional, upset, and then happy. I think today I'm level about it. I'm excited that I have a name and a conclusion and a story. I am not happy that it went this far, and I'm not happy that when I saw my Western medicine doctor just a few months ago in October, she gave me referrals to a psychiatrist again. So those are things that frustrate me, and that's why I make these videos, because the amount of people that are chronically ill, that are being turned away or told this is a mental illness or, you know, whatever. There's other avenues that are worth checking, and you know, that's why I make these, that's why I share. Not a doctor. You know, I never share these as medical advice or diagnosing someone or anything like that. This is my story. I choose to share it because I know what it's done to me and to my life and to my family. It's very upsetting for my parents and my family and my friends to watch this, you know, and if I can help someone, because I keep thinking, if I had only been able to catch this earlier, it wouldn't have gone this far, you know. So anyways, as of right now, I will link everything below, but I've only been on glutathione, NAC, coconut shell derived charcoal, the TRS spray, which I don't tolerate super well yet. So I was on one spray, now I'm on 2 sprays. And then I've implemented the diet change. So I'll share more about that. Things I'm proactively trying to do now to clean my environment and my body. A mold laundry additive, mold cleanser. I'll put all that below as well. I'm gonna purge, I'm gonna go through my home. Anything that I had back in the day or could be a carrier, just get rid of it. I'm going to see what else I can clean. I'm going to get some air purifiers. I'm going to switch to ionized water, give up coffee, give up alcohol, which I pretty much have done, but I'll have the occasional wine. But wine is a huge carrier of mycotoxins as well as coffee. So I'll put all these links and everything and what I'm doing below, so I'm not just sitting here rambling. But I wanted to share this because I know how many women, men, how many people do follow me on here, and you know my story, and ask and inquire, and it's a little bit easier for me to make a video than, you know, start emailing people directly. So I will check back in, I would say a week from now. I'm gonna share, you know, like I said, the protocol, the steps, what's being said, you know, and at that point what's going on. And you know, I guess it's just gonna be, you know, perfect timing for a new year. So that is that. I wish everyone well. I hope everyone had a great holiday, Happy New Year. Let's get out of this year. Let's move forward. And let's all count our blessings. You know, someone always has it worse. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, email, I'm on Instagram, you know, the usual, and I'll see you guys next time.